3, 2, 1.
I have to say, the mainstream media is part of this. They cover these issues, and then they go right back to having Republicans on talk shows, asking them about other issues, allowing them to air their phony grievances, rather than grilling them incessantly about why they tolerate this behavior. This is fascistic behavior. This is what fascist regimes do. But I think you also have to have some new ground rules for the media. I think they have to stop treating Republicans like normal politicians. They're not normal politicians. This is not normal conduct. This is a party that spends its entire time cooking up these ridiculous cultural memes, fanning violence, and coming up with outright lies. This is a party that spends its entire time and coming up with outright lies.
And Jennifer Rubin is joining us, a conservative opinion writer at The Washington Post.
The truth be told, of course, he's a 5-time deferred wannabe. He has to equate going to boarding school or avoiding sexually transmitted diseases to his own Vietnam.
A lot of his old interviews on your show were used for, like, political fire and a lot of things. He said, comparing AIDS to Vietnam.
Yeah, now, I thought that was unfair. I have to tell you this. The AIDS to Vietnam, he was on the air joking. There was no way that was a serious comment.
Avoiding sexually transmitted diseases to his own Vietnam.
And coming up with outright lies.
He's afraid of blood. He's afraid of sharks. He's afraid of germs. He's afraid of Vladimir Putin. He's afraid of Robert Mueller.
Bitch, shut the fuck up. Get the fuck out of here.
We simply ask that he be true to the United States, that he stand up for America, that he stand up to our enemies, that he take a stand. And even that he cannot do.
North Korea best not make any more threats to the United States. They will be met with fire and fury like the world has never seen. He has been very threatening beyond a normal statement. And as I said, they will be met with fire, fury, and frankly, power, the likes of which this world has never seen before.
The man is a coward. He will always be a coward. He was in his personal life, and he has been as president.
Are you stupid?
And frankly, the people that were questioning that statement, was it too tough? Maybe it wasn't tough enough. They've been doing this to our country for a long time, for many years. And it's about time that somebody stuck up for the people of this country and for the people of other countries. So, if anything, maybe that statement wasn't tough enough.
Let me just say, it should be self-evident why I, and I think any reasonable person, can no longer identify with the Republican Party. That parade of lies and racism tells you that the Republican Party has now been reduced to a single issue, which is race xenophobia.
You wrote this in October of this year. As the old white males who made up Trump's base and Fox News' TV audience literally die off over the ensuing decades, there'll be insufficient numbers to stand on the hill of irrational and unpopular stances on immigration restrictionism. And then you go on to attack as you have a number of times, white males, angry white males. The immigration ploy is not about jobs or terrorism, but angry white males who think the country is changing. Have you revised your view, or do you think it's just about racist white men?
The Republican Party has now been reduced to a single issue, which is race. It is true that Trump's demographic is older and whiter. And although it didn't happen in this election, at some point there will not be enough white people just to rely primarily on that demographic.
Totally false. Let me refer
No,
to
it's
your.
not.
Let me
It's
refer to
not.
your. Let me refer to your
It's
words
not.
here. September 22nd, you wrote this, and I'm quoting: Trump immigration ploy is not about jobs or terrorism, but angry whites who think the country is changing. Do you have access to some special poll the rest of us haven't seen that proves that it's not about jobs, it's about their anger based on race? You don't know that, and you claimed it anyway. Why?
Well, you just asked a different question than the one you accused me of lying of. Yes, I do have evidence that the white demographic is declining. That's a statistical
No, but you're talking about
fact.
motive here.
No, now you've asked a different question, so let me answer this question. When you look at Trump voters in a variety of testing modes, they have more negative attitudes towards African Americans and towards Hispanics. They very strongly support
African Americans are not immigrating to the country, so that's not really, it's a different category here.
When you say racist, I didn't know that you were referring
Let me just, for the third time,
to
read what you said. The immigration ploy is not about jobs or terrorism, but about angry whites. You're saying they're racist. It's not about jobs or terrorism. They're pretending it is. And I'm asking you, do you have evidence for that? Or are you just dismissing them as bigots because you can't imagine another explanation?
No, I assume that people are rational, and that, I guess, was a big mistake for this election. It's not rational.
You're claiming they're irrational,
people,
actually.
I'm claiming that they're just wrong, and that Donald Trump did a very good job of perpetuating the myth that
you're
they're
claiming
wrong.
that they're immoral. You're saying they're racist. That's not wrong. You're saying they're bad people. It's about angry whites who think the country is changing. Okay, so here's my point to you. Why would you write something like that in a newspaper without having any fact to back it up? Unless you somehow have access to the inner thoughts of Trump voters, why would you imagine you know their motives? That's my question.
We have lots of facts. In fact, people have written entire books this year. There's sociological
So what are your facts?
analysis.
I'm giving you a chance to present them.
All right. There are a lot of Trump voters who have very negative feelings towards African Americans and towards
What does that have to do with immigration,
Jen?
Just let's stick to the topic here.
Can I finish the point?
I wish you
would.
Can
I finish the point? They have negative views about various minority groups. We also know that the average Trump voter is not affected by immigration and displacement. They're about $72,000 a year in the economic strain, so that's pretty good for them.
So they're not. You think that's pretty good? Is that what you make? You think that that's enough for people to make, that they're not affected by immigration?
Much higher. It's much higher than the average American. So it's not the people
so
who
they've
are
got no
hurting the
cause
most.
for complaint.
It is
They must be
also
racist.
happening in areas in which the influx of minorities has been the fastest and the heaviest. In other words, white areas of the Midwest who have had an influx of people, and
here's my point to you.
Look,
you're making a very serious charge. I think this is an interesting debate. There are two sides to it, two legitimate sides. But before you call people racist, you better have some real evidence, and you don't. And I just ask you to marshal it, and you don't have it. No, you don't.
That's not true.
You don't know their motives. You can't know their motives. So how about don't speculate on them?
Well, listen, we all draw conclusions, and there is evidence. There is polling evidence. In fact, it created quite a stir, you remember, before the election, that Trump voters do have more negative views of minorities than non-Trump voters.
So that's probably why they don't want increased immigration, because they're bad people. I've heard that before, and I just, you know what? That's evidence of contempt for voters, of ignorance, and an unwillingness to understand their point of view, and it's unhelpful, and I think, you know, you should be above that. I guess that's the point I would make. We're out of time. Thanks for joining us. Jennifer Rubin from...
You see that? That's a stupid bitch.
My criticism is really that you actually are in the spin zone. It's presented as a news program or a pseudo-news program, and instead it's a lot of parroting what Trump is saying to you.
Give me one example of how I've parroted Donald Trump.
Sure. You've attacked the moderators in the other debates, calling them the... Yeah, Martha Raddatz and Anderson Cooper. You've also, for example, taken up...
How did I attack Mr. Cooper in this round?
You said the fix was in. I have a whole list, actually, here. Perhaps I can go through them all.
The fix was in how?
the fix was in that they were going to be hostile to Mr. Trump.
I said they were. I said they were Democrats. All right.
Yes, which also
they
isn't
not?
true. Actually, the only Democrat was Chris Wallace.
No, Ms. Raddatz and Mr. Cooper are Democrats. You did not know that?
Right. No, the one who is the registered Democrat is Chris Wallace.
So what are Ms. Raddatz and Mr. Cooper?
They'll have to ask for themselves.
I
But
did.
see,
I mean,
see what you're
they're
doing, Bill,
Democrats.
is you're taking up the argument of the candidate rather than acting as an independent person.
That's not
Once
true.
again,
If I see that two Democrats are sitting there, both who have been aggressive with Donald Trump, all right, and then you have a candidate, Hillary Clinton, that's 3 against 1, all right, and in my analysis, and I do what you do.
You stupid bitch.
Essentially, you've kept up what the Trump campaign has been saying. You've made excuses for the lock her up comment. You've pleaded with Ted Cruz, and he's really an honest man.
When did I make excuses for lock her up? What did I exactly say?
Let's see. That would have been on, let's see if I have the date exactly. It would have been on...
Well, we're waiting.
Lock her up would have been on in April and also in August. In August, in October, if you remember, Charles Krauthammer came on and had a very vigorous argument.
Wait a minute. What did I say about in April and August? What exactly did I say?
Right. Well, we can go through all of them.
No, I want that one.
Which one in particular?
April or August?
Okay. Let's see. In August, let's see. We had comments that you were going to, if somebody is being really dishonest, referring to the press corps, you'd strip them of their credentials as well. Doesn't sound like an independent thing.
That doesn't have anything to do with lock them up. You are ill-prepared for this interview, Ms. Rubin.
No, I'm not. I have a whole list here.
Ms. Rubin, I have just given you a minute where you've hemmed and hawed. You said you said I justified a comment, lock her up. You can't point to it, and then you pivot to something else.
Yes,
You're ill-prepared for this, and this is the point I want to make.
Bill.
This is the point I want to make. Your column and blog are fraud.
Right. October 10th, you defend Trump's promise to put Hillary in jail. October...
Well, tell me how I did that, madam. You just can't throw out, what did I say?
You said that it was a perfectly defensible position. You can go to your own clips.
No, I didn't. That's not true. I didn't say it was a perfectly defensible. Read it. Read my comments. Do you have my comments there? Read them.
I don't have them word for word, but I have the date. And you know what I'll do, Bill? I'll put them up at my website, and people can judge for themselves. You know how many people are going to come to your website? 0, because you're not an honest analysis person. Well, you just don't like what I'm saying, Bill.
You're not.
I actually have all the incidents here.
Yeah, I know.
There was the time that Charles Krauthammer came on the show, and he had to really castigate you for saying you were using weaselly words, he said, to defend Trump's violence.
You know what the difference is between
Krauthammer and I? You've gone down and called for Judge Curiel to be withdrawn from the case. That's racism.
Yeah, I know. I'm a racist. You're right, Ms. Rubin.
No, the comment was racist, and you indulged Trump.
You're a real star, a real champ. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate it.
Do you believe in love? Do you believe it's true? Do you believe in love?
Oh, you're making me believe it too. Now the feeling is beginning to grow, and the meaning is something you only know if you believe it. Take my hand and I'll take your heart. Come on. Now I wonder.
I am your voice.
So Donald Trump is always trying to be one of the guys. He's always trying to be the hero, but he never can be because he is not made of stuff. He is an empty, damaged soul. And, you know, if he was a decent person, I might care about it.